they grow. And this growth is internal, means from the inside. Okay. Growth can be internal or external. So in the case of the rocks, what happens? The sediments, they keep on depositing on the rocks, and the size of the rock increases, the weight of the rock increases, but that growth is external growth. When we talk about living organism, the growth is internal, from inside. Then living organism can reproduce. They can multiply in number. What is the purpose of reproduction? To maintain the species. They can sense the environment. They can respond to this environment. This is very important, to sense the environment, to sense the stimulus. Okay. So this is important for the survival of the organism. So they sense the environment and mount a suitable response. So these are the unique features of living organisms. One can add a few more features like metabolism, ability to self-replicate, self-organize, interact, and emergence to this list. So living organisms also have some more features such as metabolism, through which the energy is generated. Okay. So metabolic activities occur inside the living organisms. Okay, metabolism is of two types, anabolism and catabolism. In anabolism, the simpler compound, they join together to form complex compound. And in catabolism, the larger compound, they are broken down into smaller compounds. Then ability to self-replicate is also a unique property of the living organism. Self-organization, interaction with the other organism, and interaction with the abiotic components of the ecosystem. All living organisms grow. Okay, this growth can be internal. This growth is internal always. Okay, in case of non-living things like rock, I've given you an example of rock, the growth is external. Increase in mass and increase in number of individuals are twin characteristic of the growth. So how can we say growth is occurring? So there will be increase in the mass, there will be increase in the weight, and there is an increase in the number also. So whenever the organism is multiplying, we can say it is growing. In case of bacteria, asexual reproduction occurs. So by fission, by binary fission, from one parent cell, two daughter cells are produced. So this is also growth, because the number of the individuals are increasing. So growth can be measured in two terms: increase of mass and increase in number. In plants, this growth occurs by cell division, and the cell division or the growth occurs continuously throughout their lifespan. So plants have meristem. They have shoot apical meristem, they have root apical meristem, they have axillary meristem. These meristem consist of meristematic cells which keep on dividing. So that's why we can say in plants, the cell division occurs continuously throughout their lifespan. So they are growing throughout their lifespan, because they are, by cell division, what they are doing? They are increasing their cell number, which leads to growth. In animals, this growth is seen only up to a certain age. So in animals, the growth is limited. In plants, it is unlimited, indeterminate growth. In animals, growth, you can see, this is limited. Growth occurs up to a certain age. Clear? Like in humans also, growth occurs up to a certain age. The height increases up to a certain age. Now, unicellular organisms grow by cell division. Unicellular organisms such as prokaryotes, such as bacteria, they grow by cell division. So they grow by, you can say, different modes of asexual reproduction, such as binary fission. Then fragmentation. In majority of higher animals and plants, growth and reproductions are mutually exclusive events. Okay. So by reproduction, they increase their number, which is considered as growth. So growth and reproduction are mutually exclusive events. They occur in both animals and plants. which are living organisms. In living organism, growth is from inside. The growth, how it is occurring from inside, because the cell, they are dividing. Cell is dividing, the number of cells is increasing, which leads to growth, and the mass also increases. Therefore, growth cannot be taken as a defining property of the living organisms, because growth occurs in non-living organisms also. Although it is external, but growth occurs. The size of the rock increases due to deposition of the sediments. So that's why growth cannot be a defining property of the living organisms. Reproduction likewise is a characteristic of living organism. Reproduction only occurs in living organism. What is the purpose of reproduction? By reproduction, they can maintain their species, otherwise they can get extinct. Reproduction refers to the production of progeny possessing features more or less similar to those of the parents. So reproduction can be through sexual method or asexual methods. In asexual mode of reproduction, what happens? The progeny which is produced is genetically identical to the parents, so clones are produced. There are different kinds of asexual reproduction, okay, such as binary fission, then fragmentation, then vegetative propagation in plants. Then it can be sexual reproduction in which two parents are involved. And what is the feature of sexual reproduction? A recombination crossing over occurs as gametes are produced by meiosis, and this leads to the variation. Invariability and implicity we refer to sexual reproduction. Clear? So by sexual reproduction, variation occurs. What are the sources of variation during asexual reproduction? First of all, the genome of the two parents, they combine together. Okay, when the gametes, they fuse together. This process is known as fertilization. By fertilization, male and the female gamete fuse with each other and a diploid zygote is formed. So in the zygote, the genetic material of both the parents are combined. This is a source of variation. And also during gamete formation, what happens? Gamete formation occurs through meiosis, and in meiosis, recombination crossing over occurs. Okay, so these are the sources of variation during the sexual reproduction. Organism reproduced by asexual means also, we have already discussed. Now, fungi multiply and spread easily due to millions of asexual spores they produce. Okay, like conidia, this is a asexual spore. In lower organisms like yeast and hydra, we observe budding. So yeast and hydra, they multiply by budding. So these are all type of asexual reproduction. You can see this is budding in yeast. What happens? This is a parent cell outgrowth. This is the outgrowth which occurs from the parent cell. This outgrowth is known as a bud. This bud increases in size. Okay, it gets its own nucleus here. Then it detaches from the parent body and it forms a entire new individual. So budding is seen in yeast and hydra. Yeast is also a fungi. It is a unicellular eukaryote. So it is an exception in the kingdom fungi. Then in planaria, okay, which are flatworms, we observe true regeneration. So planaria can regenerate from, you can say, small fragments. So a fragmented organism represents the lost part of its body and become a new organism. Here you can see this is planaria. It is cut into fragments. Each fragment can give rise to a new planaria. So from this region you can see, okay, this is the middle part. From the middle fragment, the head and tail develops. Okay, entire planaria regenerates. Then this is the head. From the head also, entire planaria can regenerate. From the tail also, entire planaria can regenerate. So planaria, they have the neoblast cells, which helps in the regeneration. In fungi, such as molds and yeast, again you will see, you can say, asexual reproduction. or fragmentation you can see in fungi such as mold in yeast. Filamentous algae such as Spirogyra, this also reproduces by fragmentation. Then protonema of the moss. Okay, what is the protonema? This is the early stage, which is thread-like. Okay, this is present in moss. Okay, this also can multiply by fragmentation. Okay, what happens in fragmentation? Small fragments can give rise to the entire organism. Reproduction also cannot be an all-inclusive defining characteristic of living organism. Okay, you have to remember this point. Reproduction also cannot be an all-inclusive defining characteristic of the living organisms. Okay. And no non-living object is capable of reproducing or replicating by itself. Now, another characteristic of life is metabolism. Clear? Now, all living organisms are made of chemicals. These chemicals, small and big, belonging to various classes, sizes, functions, etc., are constantly being made and changed into some other biomolecules. A lot of metabolic reactions occur in the living organisms. These can be anabolic reactions or catabolic reactions. So a lot of biomolecules, they are broken down. A lot of molecules, they are synthesized also. What are these biomolecules? These are lipids, proteins, RNA, DNA. Sum total of all the chemical reactions occurring in our body is metabolism. No non-living object exhibit metabolism. So, in non-living organism, you cannot see metabolism. They do not exhibit metabolism. Hence, while metabolism is the defining feature of all living organisms without exception, isolated metabolic reactions in vitro are not living things but surely living reactions. So, metabolic reactions, they occur in the living organisms also. But what scientists they have done? They have carried out these metabolic reactions. You can say in vitro, means in artificial conditions. Okay, so they can carry out this metabolic reaction in the lab or in a test tube. Clear? So although these metabolic reactions occur in living organisms also, but isolated metabolic reaction in vitro can also be done. So again, you can see this is also not a defining feature of the living organism. Hence, cellular organization of the body is defining feature of the life form. Okay, so hence or therefore, cellular organization of the body is a defining feature of life forms. Plants respond to external factors like water temperature, other organisms, pollutants, etc. Okay, now we are talking about different kind of stimulus which are present in the environment. So what are these stimulus? Light can be a stimulus, temperature can be a stimulus, presence and absence of water can be a stimulus. Other organisms, okay, such as herbivores in case of plants or predators. Okay, these can also affect the other organisms. Then pollutants. These can also affect the living organisms. Living organisms are self-replicating, evolving and self-regulating, interactive systems capable of responding to external stimuli. So again, one of the features of living organism is, you can say, response to the external stimulus. So these external stimulus can be light or touch or gravity or water. So here we are talking about a kind of stimulus and responses in the plants. So you can see phototropism. Photo means light, tropism means movement. So movement of the plant or part of the plant in response to light, this is phototropism. So this movement can be positively phototrophic or negatively phototrophic. Positive phototrophic means towards the light, negative phototrophic means away from the light. Then Again, gravitopism is movement of the plant or part of the plant in response to gravity. Then you have thigmotropism, movement of the plant or part of the plant in response to touch. Okay, roots are positively geotropic. Shoots, they are positively phototropic. Clear? Then this is hydrotropism, movement of the plant or part of the plant in response to water. So roots, they move towards the water. Let's talk about diversity in the living world. The number of species that are known and described range between 1.7 to 1.8 million. Okay, so these are the species that are known and described, but still there are a lot of species that haven't been described, that haven't been found even, because they are present in the remote areas. They are present in the extreme areas. So we are not able to reach these extreme areas, these remote areas. So still there are a lot of species that haven't been even found. So this refers to biodiversity. What is biodiversity? Number and type of the organism present on the earth. This is biodiversity. Okay, when you go outside, you look around, there's a lot of species of insects, plants, animals, even microorganisms. So you can see that a lot of biodiversity. Now, we cannot study each and every individual. Okay, that's why we need to classify also these organisms. And we need to name them. We need to give a particular name to these organisms also. So naming of the organism is known as nomenclature. Now, you can say a single organism is known by different names within a country, and you can say all over the world. Same organism is known by different names. So this creates confusion. So we need to standardize the naming of the living organism such that a particular organism is known by same name all over the world. And this process is known as nomenclature, naming of the organism. Naming should be done in such a way that each organism should be known by a single name, and this name should not be given to other organism. Nomenclature naming is only possible when the organism is described correctly and we know to what organism the name is attached to. This is known as identification. So before nomenclature, identification of that organism is very important. Okay, organism should be described correctly before nomenclature, before naming it. So identification is done prior to nomenclature. In order to facilitate the study, a number of scientists have established procedure to assign a scientific name to each organisms. So each organism have been assigned a particular scientific name, and by this name, that organism is known all over the world. This is acceptable to biologists all over the world. For plants, scientific names are based on agreed principles and criteria which are provided in International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, abbreviated as ICBN. Okay, similarly for animals, animal taxonomists have evolved International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, abbreviated as ICZN. Okay, similarly you have certain codes for viruses also. Okay, and for microorganisms also. Now the scientific name ensures that each organism has only one name. Each name has two components, generic name and the specific epithet. This generic name represents the genus, specific epithet represents the species. This system of providing a name with two components is called binomial nomenclature. Bi means two. Binomial nomenclature means each scientific name will have two components, generic name and a specific epithet. Binomial nomenclature was given by Carolus Linnaeus. Okay, this naming was using a two-word format was found convenient. Let's understand this binomial nomenclature with the example of mango. What is the scientific name of mango? It is Mangifera indica. Here, Mangifera, this represents the genus, while indica is a particular species or the specific epithet. Other universal rule of nomenclature are as follows. Let's understand the rules of the nomenclature. Biological names are generally written in Latin and written in italics. So why they are written in Latin? Because Latin is a dead language. It is not evolving, and the meaning of the word remains the same. And also the scientific names are written in italics. Okay, when they are printed, they are written in italics. Okay, this shows that they are written in Latin. And when they are handwritten, the generic name and the specific epithet, they are underlined separately. So they are Latinized or derived from Latin. It is irrespective of their origin. And the first word of the binomial nomenclature, binomial name or scientific name, represents the genus, while the second component denotes the specific epithet. Now, both the words in a biological name, when handwritten, are separately underlined or printed in italics to indicate their Latin origin. First word denotes the genus. Okay, the genus always starts with a capital letter. You have to remember this, while the specific epithet starts with a small letter. You can see, let's again take the example of Mangifera indica. Okay, the genus name Mangifera starts with a capital letter. The species name starts with a small letter. This is small I. Okay, the name of the author appears after the specific epithet and it is written in the abbreviated form. So you can see Lin. This is the author name. It is written in the abbreviated form. This is Lin is for Linnaeus, and this is written after the specific epithet. So this is the correct way of writing a scientific name. So Linnaeus was the person who described that species. So this indicates the species was first described by Linnaeus. Classification is a process by which anything is grouped into convenient categories based on some easily observable characteristic. Now let's talk about the classification. So we cannot study each and every individual, each and every organism present on the earth. That's why we need to classify them into various groups. How they are classified into various groups based on easily observable characteristic means they are classified into different groups or different categories based on the similarities or the common characters. So what is classification? Grouping of organisms based on common characteristic or shared characteristic. Now the scientific term for these categories is taxa. Okay, now we're talking about diversity in the living world. Wheat is a taxa. Clear? Plant is also a taxa. Wheat is also a taxa. Okay, but you can see the rank is different. Wheat is at the lower rank. Okay, plant is at a higher rank. Similarly, animals, mammals and dogs are all taxa. But you know that dog is a mammal and mammals are animals. So animals, mammals, dogs, these are all taxa, but the levels are different, but the rank is different here. Dog is at a lower level, mammals are at higher level, and animals, they are at the highest level, or the rank is highest, although all of these are taxa. Therefore, animals, mammals and dogs represent taxa at different levels, means there is a hierarchy here. Based on characteristic, all living organisms can be classified into different taxa. Now this process of classification is taxonomy. So what does taxonomy include? Characterization, identification, classification, nomenclature are the processes that are basic to taxonomy. So taxonomy include characterization, identification, classification as well as nomenclature. Human beings were since long not only interested in knowing more about different kind of organisms and their diversity, but also the relationship among them. Now, human beings want to know, they are very curious, they want to know about different kind of organisms, they want to explore more areas, they want to, you can say, find new species, they want to, you can say, isolate and characterize more species, and they want to use them for human welfare. But they also want to know the evolutionary relationship between these organisms, because the organisms which are present today, they are similar to each other, they show similarity to each other, and they also show similarity to the organisms which were present millions of years back. So they are also interested in understanding the relationship among these organisms. So this branch of study was referred to as systematics. So systematics include the evolutionary relationship among the organism. Now the word systematic is derived from the Latin word systema, which means systemic arrangement of the organisms. Linnaeus used Systema Naturae as the title of his publication. The scope of systematic was later enlarged to include identification, nomenclature, and classification. So you can see here, systematic also include identification, nomenclature, and classification, which is also included in taxonomy. So how is systematic different from taxonomy? So systematic also takes into account evolutionary relationship between the organism. So this is how it is different from taxonomy. Okay, what is the common thing between systematic and taxonomy? Identification, nomenclature, and classification. But systematics also include evolutionary relationship between the organism. So this is how it is different from taxonomy. Classification, let's talk about taxonomic categories now. Classification is not a single step process, but involves hierarchy of steps in which each step represents a rank or taxonomic category. Now we are talking about the taxonomic hierarchy. Here each step represents a rank or a level or a category. So each step can be called as a category and it represents a particular rank. Since the category is a part of overall taxonomic arrangement, it is called taxonomic category, and all categories together constitute the taxonomic hierarchy. So there is a hierarchy. Okay, means there are different ranks. These taxonomic categories have different ranks. They have different levels, starting from lower to higher, or otherwise from higher to lower. Each category refers to as a unit of classification, in fact represents a rank and is commonly termed as taxon. Okay, so this category is also known as a taxon. And taxon is what? Taxon represents a rank. Category further denotes the rank. Now each rank or taxon in fact represents a unit of classification. So like we have discussed, dog is also a taxa, mammals is also a taxa, animals is also a taxa, but the rank is different. These taxonomic group or categories are distinct biological entities and do not merely, you can say, are not merely morphological aggregate. So this line is very important. Means these organisms which are grouped into these categories, these are not just based on morphological aggregate, means morphological features or similar morphological features. They are distinct biological entities. Okay, means they are different groups. Clear? They are real natural groups. Okay, which you can say are different in many ways. So they are different, you can say, genetically also. Okay, they are different in the, you can say, evolutionary relationships also. Okay, so these categories are distinct biological entities and not merely morphological aggregates. Okay, so they are different at the genetic level also. The DNA sequence is also different. Taxonomic studies of all known organisms have led to development of common categories such as kingdom, phylum. These categories based on shared characteristics. Species is the lowest most taxon. Kingdom is the highest taxon. Above kingdom you have the domain. Okay, so if you start from species, which is the lowest most, then genus is the highest one. Higher to species, then family is higher to genus. Okay, likewise order is a higher category as compared to family. Class is higher category as compared to orders. Then you have division for plants and phylum for animals, and then kingdom is the highest taxon or taxonomic category. All organisms, including those in the plant and animals kingdom, have species as the lowest category. So species is the lowest category or the lowest taxa or taxon. Now, as it is the lowest category, then what happens? The number of similarities is more. So lower the taxon, lower the category, more will be the similarities. Higher the taxon, like kingdom, which is a very broad category, less will be the number of shared characteristic. Now let's talk about the species, which is the lowest most taxon. Taxonomic studies consider a group of individual organisms with fundamental similarities as species. A species is the lowest or basic taxonomic category comprising one or more natural populations of individuals that interbreed freely. So members of a species can interbreed with each other, but they are reproductively isolated from the other species. Mangifera indica, Solanum tuberosum, which is potato, and Panthera leo, which is lion. Okay, here indica, tuberosum and leo, these are all species. Okay, all the three names indica, tuberosum, leo represent the specific epithet, while the words Mangifera, Solanum, Panthera are the genera and represents another higher level of taxon or the category. Here in this figure you can see this is penguin, this is tiger, and this is the butterfly. Okay, this Forstera, this is the specific epithet. Tigris is a specific epithet. Plexippus, this is the specific epithet. Okay, clear? Aptenodytis is a genus, Panthera is a genus, and Denas is a genus. Each genus have one or more than one specific epithet representing different organisms but having morphological similarities. So this is again very important. A genus can have more than one specific epithet, and this represents different organisms, but these different organisms, they have morphological similarities, means their external features will be same, their morphology will be same, although they are different organisms. Now Panthera has another specific epithet, Tigris. Okay, one is Panthera leo, another one is Tigris. Panthera leo is lion, Panthera tigris is tiger. So you can see they are different organisms, but they have morphological similarities. And Solanum genus includes species like Nigrum and Melongena. Nigrum is, you can say, is another plant, and Melongena is another. Human beings belong to the species Sapiens, which is grouped in the genus Homo. Okay, what is the scientific name of humans? It is Homo sapiens. Clear? And the genus name is Homo. Scientific name thus for human beings is written as Homo sapiens. Sapiens is a species. Let's talk about the genus. Genus comprises a group of related species which has more characters in common in comparison to the species of other genera. So what is genus? It's a group of related species. Potato and brinjals are two different species, but both belong to the genus Solanum. Okay, lion, which is Panthera leo, leopard, which is Panthera pardus, and tiger, which is Panthera tigris, with several common features, are all species of the genus Panthera. Or genus can have more than one species. This genus differs from the other genus Felis, which includes cats. Okay, so Panthera is different from another genus Felis. So Felis include cats. Now let's talk about the family. Family has a group of related genera with still less number of similarities. So as we are moving up from species to the kingdom, the number of similarities, number of shared characteristics decreases. So family is a group of related genera with still less number of similarities compared to genus and the species. Families are characterized on the basis of both vegetative and reproductive features of plant species. Three different genera, Solanum, Petunia, and Datura, are placed in the family Solanaceae. Among animals, for example, genus Panthera comprising lion, tiger, leopard is put along with genus Felis in the family Felidae. Let's talk about the order. An order is a taxonomic category that contains one or more related families. Orders group together family that share certain common characteristics, but these shared characteristics are broader and more general than those that unite genera within a family. Let's talk about the class. So this category includes related orders. For example, order Primata comprising monkey, gorilla, and gibbon is placed in class Mammalia, along with the order Carnivora that include animals like tiger, cat, and dog. Class Mammalia has other orders also, okay, such as Rodentia. Clear? Rodentia, which includes rodents, this is also included under Mammalia. Okay, then you have the order Primata also. Okay, then you have the order Chiroptera, which includes bats and many more. Let's talk about the phylum. Okay, classes comprising animals like fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds, along with mammals constitute the next higher category called the phylum. Based on the common features like presence of notochord and dorsal hollow neural system, these are included in the phylum Chordata. So the members of the phylum Chordata, they all have notochord and dorsal hollow neural system. So notochord is usually seen in the embryonic stage. And this notochord, this helps in the organization of the neural system or the nervous system. Then you have the kingdom. So all animals belonging to various phyla are assigned to the highest category called the kingdom Animalia in the classification system of the animals. Okay, this is the highest category. So it is quite broad category. And the number of similarities will be, or number of shared characteristic will be minimum. It will be very less. Because you can see animals includes chordates, non-chordates, okay, then insects, annelids. Clear? So that's why it is a very broad category. So as you move up from the species towards the kingdom, okay, species is the lowest most taxon. As you're moving up and you reach the kingdom, above kingdom you have the domain. The number of similarities, number of shared characteristic decreases here. Okay, species have the maximum number of shared characteristic. Okay, so species is very specific group, kingdom is very broad group. Kingdom Plantae, on the other hand, is distinct and comprises all the plants from various divisions. So in case of plant, we use divisions instead of phylum. So these are all broad categories. Now this is very important line. Lower the taxa, more are the characteristics that the member within the taxon share. Higher the category, such as kingdom, greater is the difficulty of determining the relationship to other taxa at the same level. Okay, this line is also very important. Greater is the difficulty of determining the relationship to other taxa which is at the same level, because the number of similarities are very less. Although they might be similar in some broad categories, means they are all multicellular, but they are different in most of the characteristics. So that's why it is difficult to determine the relationship to other taxa which are at the same level, because there are no common characteristic, no similar characteristic. Hence the problem of classification become more complex. Let's talk about the man. Biological name is Homo sapiens. Clear. Family. What is the genus? Homo. Species is sapiens here. Family is Hominidae. Order is Primata. Class is Mammalia. And phylum is Chordata here. Okay, you will say phylum Chordata. So you can get question from this table also, where they will ask you about the order to which man belongs, or order to which housefly belongs, or the genus or the family to which man or housefly or mango or weed belongs. Okay, let's talk about the housefly. The scientific name or the biological name is Musa domestica. Musa is a genus, domestica is the species. The housefly belongs to the family Musidae. Order is Diptera, class is Insecta. So these are insects, and phylum is Arthropoda. Then let's talk about the mango. Scientific name is Mangifera indica. Genus is Mangifera, species is Indica. Belongs to the family Anacardiaceae. Order is Sapindales. Class is Dichordini. And division will be Angiospermi here. And let's talk about the wheat. Wheat is Triticum massivum. Triticum is the genus. Poaceae is the family. Order is Poales. Okay, then you can see class is Monocotyledoni, means they are monocots. So plants can be dicots or monocots. Dicots have 2 cotyledon, monocots have 1 cotyledon, known as scutellum. It belongs to the division Angiospermi. So angiosperms, known as the flowering plants, they can be divided into dicots and monocots. The both mango and wheat, they are angiosperms. But one is dicot, another one is monocot. Musidae are a family of flies such as house flies. So remember these. Okay, this is a family which includes house flies. Now fireflies belong to the family Lampreyridae. Grasshopper is present in the family Acrididae, and cockroach is kept in Blattidae family. So again, this is some extra information apart from the NCERT, and questions from this, you can say, facts have come. So you should know about the family of the insects such as fireflies, grasshopper and cockroach. Let's talk about some tips and tricks. So born on 5th July 1904 in Kempten, Germany, Ernest Mayr, okay, the Harvard University evolutionary biologist who has been called the Darwin of 20th century, was one of the 100 greatest scientists of all time. Okay. So Ernest Mayr, he gave the definition of the species. Then Carolus Linnaeus, a Swedish naturalist, is the father of taxonomy. He also gave the binomial nomenclature. Now he coined the term class and systematics. A tautonym, what is a tautonym? It is defined as a binomial name in which the name of the genus and species are the same. So that is a tautonym, where the name of the genus and the name of the species, they are same. Okay, these are known as tautonyms. For example, gorilla. This is a tautonym. So gorilla is a genus, so that's why it starts with a capital letter, gorilla. And this another one, gorilla, this is a species. So that's why it is written, it starts with a small letter. The trinomial nomenclature, it includes genus, species and subspecies, and is applicable to animals only. So subspecies is lower than species. Okay, sub means it is another category lower than the species. Like you have subphylum, which is a category lower than phylum. Okay. So this was the end of this session. I hope this session was quite knowledgeable for you. Thank you very much for listening.